Chanel Johnson is the name of the woman who held on to this baby secret for over 18 years and failed to tell Babyface that he had a son. Besides Madam being served with papers, Naima got her job back, Quincy walked away disappointed, and Babyface gives Madam an ultimatum. We're going to talk about all of that and more right here on Ruthless TV. Let's dive in. The episode picks up in the club after Quincy told Babyface that he was his son. And instead of Babyface embracing the moment and embracing his son, he was bitter, he was angry, and he was downright mean to Quincy. And we can tell in this moment that Quincy was hurt. Like, he really felt bad. I mean, can you imagine waiting all this time to meet your father and you have to meet him like this and be embarrassed in front of his friends and in front of your co-workers? Like, I really didn't think that it had to go down like this, but I mean, we're talking about Babyface. And to Babyface's credit, like, he didn't know. He had no idea that he had this son, but yet and still, when you find out, like, that should soften your heart just a little bit. And this leads me to think that this character, he doesn't have any room for growth. I mean, the character arc is definitely tainted. I just really hope that the rest of the season that he has room for some type of redemption. Poor Quincy. Naima got her job back. Detective Davis and DA Rods called her down to the station and they gave her a job back. They lied to this poor girl and told her that there was some sort of mix-up at the hospital and that her test results were switched with someone else's. So of course, this is music to Naima's ears. And at this point, I think that these two here are stumbling over their own feet. They're going to be the ones, the very ones who helped Madam to walk. They're so eager to have her arrested. Cleanup is getting really sloppy. DA Ross said that Dr. Brown owes her a favor and she's going to get her to shred the documents. Madam is now in court and her trial date is set for the 11th. As we can see, Madam is unbothered by all of this. And it looks like the public is definitely in the building and they're there to support Madam. Of course, in their eyes, Madam can do no wrong. Fuego really doesn't want to get his hands dirty. He's in the barbershop with Big D and they're talking about the two guys that Fuego was looking for. He told Big D that he really wasn't ready to go down that road, and Big D told him that when he's ready, he'll be right there. I really like this friendship that's developing between Big D and Fuego. It's really nice and refreshing. Dime is on her way to get her nails done, and Amp wants to know if she's going to get his favorite color. Okay, yeah, all of that is nice and it's cute, but he just gave Dime the keys to his apartment. He wants her to move on in. But for some reason, Dime seems a little uneasy, uncomfortable, a little timid, if you will. Maybe she's thinking the same thing that I'm thinking, that all of this is moving just a little too fast. It's like you're sitting down for a hand of spades and then somebody starts off with the big joker. I mean, you're already at the top without playing any of your other smaller cards first. And hell, he's probably going to propose to her before the next episode comes on. Babyface waltzed into Madam's office and gave her an ultimatum and basically told her that he has to choose between Quincy and him as a dancer. He told Madam that Quincy is stirring up drama. Like, are you serious? Babyface is becoming more and more unlikable. Madam told him that he's in no position to be giving her ultimatums right now. Quincy makes way more money than he does, and he's got 4 privates booked this weekend alone. So Babyface, you can kick rocks. So Blue is at her new therapy session. You know, the one that she's supposed to be on where she doesn't really have to talk. And this almost backfired on old Doc here. Blue started shooting the bow and arrows, releasing some of the stress. Then she started hearing voices. She turned the bow and arrow on the doctor. She had to think really quick. Blue, you're safe. No, she called her Belinda. Belinda, you're in a safe space. It's just me and you here. And in this moment is where Blue broke. And she said, what's wrong with me? So here is where the healing is going to start. Blue can really get a true assessment as to what's going on with her. So good for you, Blue. Brashear, the bartender, wish he would have called off work today. Madam has him tied up in her office, throwing darts at him because some money came up missing at the bar. She's throwing darts right in the center of his chest, but she didn't hurt him too bad. She let him go. One of my subscribers here asked the question as to what Madam's going to be like when she's off her meds. What is it going to be like for her and for her employees? Well, here you go. This is exactly what we're looking forward to with her and her employees when she's off her medicine. And it's only going to get worse. I mean, let's think about some of the things that she's done while she was on her medicine. She electrocuted women in bathtubs, caged a man and threw him in the swimming pool, tossed the hillbilly right from his hospital window. She dipped a whole human being down into a bowl of acid. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And the part where her and Blue cracked that girl's skull when she came and blew up the club. Oh my gosh, that was so horrific. So I think that right now we're in that mid stage where that bridge supply of medicine that she has, she may only have a few left. So we know that it won't be pretty. And after Brashear left, she called Blue, and Blue didn't pick up. Once again, she told her to leave a message. I really don't know how to feel about these kumbaya moments with Tony and Amp. The whole approach that Tony is taking with Amp, I don't know, it's just a little lackluster to me. Maybe it's because she just doesn't know where to start. And everyone handles trauma differently, but there's just some things that smothered pork chops and green beans ain't gonna fix. The guys are all in the locker room teasing Babyface about his newfound son. But Babyface ain't having it. He said he's not claiming Quincy and to mind their business. And Doc is the one who was offering him some sound support and told him, look man, that's your flesh and blood. You gotta talk to him. But Babyface didn't want to hear it. He just wishes this would all just go away. This is just so sad. And Trouble is pushing her luck yet and still outside of the club with Tina and Molly, trying to catch some sales until she ran up on the wrong one. She tried to sell to an undercover cop and she's going to jail. You know, I would have thought that Trouble would have had a little bit more sense than to do that. And I understand that she's desperate, but this was just a stupid move. It made absolutely no sense. Blue finally made it in to talk to Madam. Madam told her that she just wanted to check in with her because she hadn't seen her since court. Blue let her know that she was just taking care of business and that she had some errands to run. And this is a red flag with Madam. And we can still see that Blue is keeping up this facade and building this wall around her, but at least now we know why. But she thinks that if Madam knows that she's in therapy, that's a sign of weakness. But I think that it's the complete opposite. She needs to let Madam know what's going on. And side note, the use of this cigarette is being overused. Y'all need to find Madam something else to do. Give her a crossword puzzle or something. And here comes crying as wimping as Babyface, clearing the amateur locker room so that he could have a moment with his son. I really wanted more out of this scene, so much more. I'm thinking Babyface has changed his mind and we're gonna have this tender moment between these two. Wrong. It's the complete opposite. There were no words of wisdom. Quincy didn't say, Dad, I really wanted you to come to my baseball game. But it was more like, I may be your dad, but I don't want nothing to do with you. Get out of my face. This cannot be the end of it. Babyface is not human. And we're really missing the moment here. We're missing the moment where we can connect with Babyface. If he would only just give just a little bit, then we'll start to like him a little, right? Well, maybe. And Quincy is in a bit of disbelief too. He said that all he wants to do is get to know his dad and to be a part of his life. But Babyface turned it down. He said that he think it's best that they just continue to not know each other. But Quincy took it on the chin. He handled it pretty nicely. He told him he ain't got to worry about him asking him for it, and then he walked out, and rightly so. Robbery, breaking and entering, and selling narcotics to a cop. This is a recent trouble that Trouble is facing, and maybe up to 20 years in prison. Detective Davis is trying to warn her to take care of herself, not to look out for Madam so much, because Madam certainly ain't looking out for you. And I agree with her. She really needs to stop thinking that Madam is going to save her and to pluck her out of trouble every time she's in it. Renee pushed up on Midnight in the middle of his dance, and then he grabbed her and told her, look, don't be coming up in here talking all that mess about what we're doing in the bedroom, because people are going to think I'm abusing you or something. So this girl is willing to do anything to stay around Midnight. She's trying to book VIPs, but Blue told her that he's booked. He's booked and busy, baby. She said, you can have Doc. Doc has an opening. She said, no, I only want Midnight. And this girl is going to get her way no matter what. We have a new fluffer in the building, and she came to serve the gentleman, but she's not actually serving what we think. She's actually there to serve subpoenas for Madam's trial. And I'm just wondering, how was she able to just walk back there? And right before she came in, the guys gave their 2 cents on parenthood. Midnight expressed how expensive it is, and Doc chimed in right behind him, echoing the same sentiment. Fuego thinks it'll be nice to have someone to look up to you. Big D doesn't think that he's ready. And Amp said if it ain't ready, he just ain't ready. So we kind of see where everyone stands on parenthood, right? Amp and Big D have 2 totally different perspectives, so we're gonna see how this is gonna play out. Tommy's running from the process server, and he ran right into Madam's office. Madam advised him, look, go ahead and take the papers because eventually you're gonna get caught up anyway. They're gonna make sure you get them papers. But Madam did ask him for a favor while he was in there. He told him to keep his eye on Blue. And I'm not sure if she's saying this because she's beginning to lose trust in Blue, or if she's saying this because she's concerned about her and just wants him to make sure that she's going to be okay. Maybe it's a little bit of both. We'll see. Rayshawn is crying his tattoo tears to Quincy, telling him about the time that Babyface threatened him and took all of his money. And I'm wondering what Quincy has in mind, because he said that karma is a bitch. Oh yes, it is. The opening words to this song that they're dancing to is, "Girl, let's turn this bedroom to a strip club." So we already know where they're taking our minds, right? And I typically like their dances, but this one to me was like a cheap version of eroticism, period. It was just a little all over the place, too raunchy. It was just too much going on. I don't know. The song was on point for sure. The costumes, the lighting as usual, I loved it. But the dance, it was, I don't know, maybe it was just too many people on the stage. It was sort of like a porgy, if you will, okay? That's the only way that I can describe it. It was just a little messy. I don't know. I just think that when they're dancing, that they're taking us on a fantasy, right? Again, it's like you're playing the big joker without playing your other cards first. Like, you're already taking me there. Like, I would like for you to give my mind a treat, like a fantasy. Like, give me time to think about what it's like to be with you. I don't want to just see it like up front, right? It was just a bit too much for me, that's all. With all of these things going on in the city, Tandy wants to throw a party, and of course she wants to invite the Eden dancers, so she called Madam to set it up. And me and Madam thinking the same thing. She was like, isn't there something else you need to be doing besides throwing sex parties? But it doesn't really matter what Tandy's doing. Tandy is gonna be Tandy, no matter what. Madam is inquiring once again about the land that's next to Maddie B's, and Tandy's brushing her off once again, saying that it's taking a little bit longer than she expected. Now let's bear in mind that Tandy hasn't done the first thing that Madam told her to do, which is get rid of DA Rods. Nor is she coming through on this property that Madam told her to get. So Tandy's messing up and she's slipping really bad. So I guess a Word a Day app got their advertisement in. I like how they squoze that right on in there. It went with the dialogue, so it was cool. Now we know who was on the other end of that phone conversation that Tony had on last week's episode. She was talking to good old Gene here. And I have to say the same about him as I did the little girl woman. Madam should have killed them when she had the chance. Now look at him, plotting and scheming with Madam's sister to take over her club. They're both waiting for Madam to get arrested so that they can just move in and take over. Madam checked in with Fuego. She wanted to make sure that he was doing okay and that he didn't really do anything with that address that she gave to him about Sandra's body. And he assured her that everything was fine and that he didn't do anything with that address. It's a good thing that he decided not to go after those guys, because Madam's got her eye on him. Trouble called Blue to ask Madam if she would get her out of jail. Now, we all know how this conversation went, so I don't even have to say nothing. Midnight is thoroughly pissed off with Renee. She's hanging around the club. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. She's been calling him. He's not picking up. He told her that his phone is on Do Not Disturb because he's at work. But Renee wants to go out and have breakfast and, do all the things. And Midnight was like, okay, we can go to breakfast. It's going to cost you $1,000 and it's going to cost $500 for the licky licky. She told him, well, I don't get paid until tomorrow. He was like, well, holler at me tomorrow then, because this ain't no layaway stick. That part was funny. Well, at least now Renee knows where they stand. Like, she should have already known, but people like that, you just gotta keep telling them until they get it. Madam now has a list of the witnesses, people that are gonna testify against her. She seemed pretty okay with everyone else except Keisha. Keisha, my nose is bleeding. So she's sending Smoke to take care of her. And she told Smoke to take his time or to have a good time with her or something like that. And I don't know, I didn't like that part. But this is Madam we're talking about, so what can we expect? Dime is pregnant for sure, but she thinks it's acid reflux. If her throwing up in the trash can, having a sensitive tummy every time she eats, and going through half a bottle of Tums or Rolaids or whatever that is not an indication that she's pregnant, then I don't know what is. Like, at some point, as a woman who's sexually active, if you're having these symptoms, the first thing you should do is go to the doctor. Like, I'm giving too much credit to these characters. Maybe she's just having a blonde moment. Who knows? Girl, go to the doctor. Madam has been hit with a search warrant. Detective Davis and her goons came straight to Madam's door and said that they want to search her property. And they're looking for anything that may be incriminating. And Detective Davis has the search warrant this time, so I don't know. Who knows what they're going to find? That concludes the recap recap on this episode of All the Queen's Men. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. You know I'd appreciate it. And if you're a fan of All the Queen's Men like I am, then go ahead and sub to this channel for more videos just like this one. Thank you so much for joining me today on Ruthless TV, you guys, and I'm going to see you on the next one.